Brilliant, thank you. Not too close. This is where I start bumping into it. Firstly, welcome to the launch meeting for the Epsom and North Ewell Neighbourhood Watch Scheme. Thanks very much for coming out tonight, giving up a Friday night. Not a very pleasant Friday night at that. I think it sort of signifies the commitment and enthusiasm there is locally for what we're about to talk about. A couple of introductions. My name is Matt Bristow. I'm a neighbourhood superintendent for Surrey Police. I look after the 4 boroughs on the eastern part of the county, so Townsbridge, Moy Valley, Reigate, Bastard and Epsom. So what goes on in the Epsom borough is of particular interest to me. I also am the force lead for Neighbourhood Watch. I've been so for the past 2 years or so, and my job in that regard is to make sure the force, as far as it is able, supports actively Neighbourhood Watch and particularly development of new watches. So on both fronts, I'm really pleased to be able to come along and share in what you're doing tonight. I won't speak for very minutes, you'll be relieved to know. I've been told I've got a slot for 10 minutes, but if I go over that, somebody will no doubt buzz me or ring a bell and I'll stop. Worth reflecting, I think, before we go too much further, on a little bit of the history of Neighbourhood Watch. Because the watch, Neighbourhood Watch, as a setup, has been in existence for 30 years now. It's 30-year anniversary, which, if I remember rightly, is Pearl. Somebody probably correct me if I'm wrong, something of that age. So it's been around a long time. That better? That better? Right, have you heard anything I've said? Good. First watch introduced in 1982 in Cheshire. It was based on an idea that was first originally trialled in Chicago in the States. Very effective idea. Was brought into the county in Surrey in 1985. I can't remember which area had it, but I do remember at the time that I was a young PC, and the sense of excitement and enthusiasm for bringing in something like that into Surrey was real. It was very palpable, and that sort of continued. That's evidenced by the fact that so many people here tonight. Nationally, there's something in the region of 10 million members of watches across the country, and reckoned to be the largest voluntary organisation in England and Wales. So it's a big setup. Within the county, there's something in the region of 3,400 watches that involve 125,000 households. And something like a third of the county Surrey is covered by a watch of some form. So in terms of its establishment in the county, it's very well tried and tested, good method. Clearly there's work to do with the other 2/3 of the county which isn't covered, but a third coverage of the county is pretty good. The intended coverage of your own watch setup is pretty big. You're talking about, is it 2 parks, 5 schools, 115 different streets, 118 watches. Exceptionally good, really good. But I suppose it's worth asking, why does it work? Why is it so popular? What makes it so good? Why does it take hold? And for me, the sort of fundamental bit of it, I suppose, is that at its heart is around the notion that communities, localities where people live, are not helpless in the face of crime and antisocial behaviour, and can actually do something about it. No, they're not. They don't have to sit there and let it happen to you. You can actually organise yourself, do something about it, in partnership with ours and other agencies. But it's that fundamental notion that really makes it worthwhile. Neighbourhood Watch also means a lot to us, Surrey Police, and I don't want to steal Craig's thunder because we'll go on and talk about this in a little while, but it means a lot to us, resonates with us particularly because it's very similar, lots of overlap with our neighbourhood policing style. And Surrey as a force has invested heavily in neighbourhood policing for a long time. We were front runners across the country in developing neighbourhood policing, and the idea that named individual officers, community support officers, would work a particular neighbourhood for a sustained period, develop good, strong links with local communities, and support things like Neighbourhood Watch, other self-help groups, get involved. So we've invested heavily in that, and it's something that is not unique to us, but it's very characteristic of us as a force. And the similarities in what neighbourhood policing is trying to achieve and what Neighbourhood Watch seeks to achieve are very similar. So, for example, the brief objective of neighbourhood policing is around improving confidence, feelings of security, increasing public involvement in policing, improving satisfaction in the service that we provide, and as well as preventing and detecting crime and social behaviour and bringing offenders to justice. So that's broadly around what neighbourhood policing is, very citizen-focused type of policing. When you look at what Neighbourhood Watch is trying to achieve, it's talking about in objectives cutting crime, antisocial behaviour and the opportunity for it, reassuring local residents and reducing the fear of crime, encouraging people to be good neighbours, and building this idea of a cohesive community, strengthening the community, more united, and improving the quality of life for people who live in that area. So they're the aims, stated aims. Looking at all the documentation about Neighbourhood Watch, they're the stated aims. So there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of crossover between neighbourhood policing and what Neighbourhood Watch seeks to achieve. And one of the things, those objectives, we think about it, one of the things that jumps out of that, one of the characteristics of it, is that, again, it's about this: citizens, residents in a community are not passive recipients of stuff that's done to them. They can actually get involved and can actually shape what happens to them. They can shape their own sense of security in a real way. So there's a common purpose. There is a common purpose. There's a common purpose between the police and Neighbourhood Watch movement. And a good, active, and I stress the word active, Neighbourhood Watch movement is something that's really important to us, purely from a selfish point of view, if nothing else, that it helps us do our job. It helps keep the streets safe and it helps us lock bad guys up. So an active Neighbourhood Watch is something we will always support, and again evident by the number of people that are here, number of officers, people from your team that are here tonight. The other thing, thank you. The other thing I think is worth stressing around Neighbourhood Watch, why it's so important to us, is that it's recognition of the fact that the police cannot deal with crime and antisocial behaviour in isolation. It doesn't matter how many officers we've got or how good we are, we can't do that on our own. To do that properly, we need the help of you. We need the help of communities, residents, working with you and for you. Neighbourhood Watch is a structured way, it's probably the best structured way for citizens to get involved in policing and contribute to that. So that's why it's so effective. But not pretend, it takes effort as well. This business about active neighbourhood watches don't happen by accident. It takes effort. It takes sustained involvement and sustained enthusiasm. Before I came up here tonight, I was looking at a documentation around Neighbourhood Watch where it listed what the activities or what the role of the Neighbourhood Watch coordinators was. And a great big long list of this of things this individual was supposed to do or had to do. Right at the top of that list, the very first one, and in my view the most challenging, is Watch Coordinator duty to sustain the interest of its members. And I suppose the challenge bit of this, and I'll sort of leave you to think about that as you go through your meeting, the challenge thing about this is you're all fired up, enthusiastic, ready to go in here tonight, which is fantastic. But how do we, and it is a we, sustain that motivation and that enthusiasm over the weeks and months to come? Now, my commitment as a sort of strategic manager in the force, my commitment to you is we will support you in doing that. We will help you in whatever way we can, because it's in our interest, if nothing else, for you to succeed. And I'm sure you will succeed, but it will take effort on everybody's part. One of the sad things that I've seen in my position as strategically responsible for watches is watches where they are moribund, where nothing happens, where they're watches in name only, and that is really sad. So don't pretend it's easy, it's not, it takes effort. One of the things I'm quite keen on looking at a specific, and I say it because I think it's really important, one of the things that I'm quite keen to ensure happens is the contact between your community support officers and your local PCs or your local constables and the coordinators. So the frequency and nature of that contact is really, really important to me. And I say that because one of the most common areas where we, the police, don't get it right.
Your voice is getting lower and lower.
Is it?
We can barely hear.
It's very difficult to gauge with the microphone, but I'll shout. Can you hear me at the back? Okay. So, no, right. I'll try and speak a bit louder. It might be something to do with the what do you call it? The electrics.
You're not speaking into the mic enough. When
Well,
you speak into the mic,
okay. I'll make sure my colleagues who follow me get it a bit better than I.
shout into the mic. It's not doing much.
No, it isn't, is it? Right, I'll shout. One of the No, I won't go back to the beginning. I'll go back to the point I was just making. One of the most important things for me, one of the most important specific aspects of it that I'm really keen we get right is the contact between local officers, whether they're community support officers or constables, and the watch coordinators. Because I see across the county, in the sort of wider role that I've got in relation to Neighbourhood Watch, is that's the bit where we don't get it quite right sometimes. So I'm really keen, as this scheme develops over the next few months, I will be watching that closely, and I'm really keen that we get that right, because that is part of our contract and commitment to you. So I've spoken, droned on. I'm not sure how much of what I said you actually heard, although whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I hope you got the sense of what I was saying. Neighbourhood Watch is a good thing to do, and I'm heartily pleased that you put your heads above the parapet and you've all come here tonight, because that shows commitment and enthusiasm. What Neighbourhood Watch is about, what it's trying to achieve, is really, really closely aligned with what we seek to achieve in neighbourhood policing. It's the same ideas, the same objectives, the same approach. So it works. The fact that it's been around for a long time proves that it works. Well-established means of operating. So we will support you. That's my commitment. We will support you as you take this forward. But it will take effort on everybody's part. It doesn't happen by accident. So, in conclusion, just want to say thank you ever so much for coming out tonight. I'm sorry I haven't got the voice levels about right, but there we are. Thanks for coming out tonight. I'm sure you will be an outstanding success, and we'll start reading about your successes of people being arrested or crimes deterred in months to come. So, well done, and I hope this meeting, you get some value out of it and you come away at the end of it after a couple of hours with a clear idea about how you're going to take it forward. Thank you.